Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection for our servicemen and women throughout the world and for those who have passed away in our community. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Here.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Dr. Rothschild?
Here.
Mr. McAndrew?
Present.
Mr. King?
Here. There'll be a motion this evening to move items 5B, 5C, and 5D to 6th and 7th order for final vote, and a motion to move 5F to 7th order for final vote.
I make a
No, I'm sorry, let me read, I'll read them if I could. 5B is the ordinance to extend the local declaration of emergency as a result of the flooding that occurred on September 9th to October 27th, 2023. 5C is an ordinance to increase the debt proceeds in the court awards accounts by $2.5 million to allow for payment of the recent class action lawsuit. 5D is an ordinance to increase the debt proceeds in the court awards account by $1.29 million to allow for the payment of a contract-based obligation in a global settlement. And 5F is a resolution to reallocate Providence Square streetscape funds for connectivity purposes and storm relief. Anyone who would like to speak on these pieces of legislation may do so in fourth order during citizen participation.
I make a motion to take from the table file of the council number 91 of 2023.
Second?
There's been a motion on the floor and a second to take from the table file of council number 91, 2023. This ordinance has established permit parking on the 800 block of Olive Street. There was a public hearing held last week on this matter. It's being taken from the table and placed in 7th order for final vote. On the question.
On the question, this was something I had on my list to bring up in caucus tonight, and I did forget about it, but meant to bring it up at the meeting anyway. I did get a call about, there is a church on Olive Street in the 1800 block, and if they move to the permit parking, churchgoers on Sundays and for church events, I don't think we'll have any parking spaces. I don't know if it's something that we want to hold off on until we get some kind of response with parking from the church, or if it's something we'd like to move on tonight anyway.
I think that this was tabled for quite a while, and I think that there was a public hearing, and we didn't have anybody come in to speak to it, so I'm prepared to vote on it tonight. On the question further, anyone? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, and so moved.
I make a motion to take from the table resolution number 313 of 2023.
Second?
There's a motion on the floor and a second to take from the table resolution number 313, 2023. This resolution is a contract with Performance High Fidelity to perform audiovisual services meeting space enhancements for City Hall. It's being taken from the table and placed in 7th order for final vote. On the question. On the question, there was a question about
Difference in price.
right, the difference in price, and I believe initially they were charging us tax, and we're a non-taxable entity, so they were informed, and that was adjusted. So I think that was the only question I think that had been raised. So anyone else on the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, so moved. Please dispense with the reading of the minutes.
Third order, 3A. Overtime report for all departments as provided by City Controller received October 25, 2023 for the period January through October 2023. 3B, Code Enforcement Report dated October 17, 2023 for City Council received October 24, 2023. 3C, minutes of the Scranton-Lackawanna Health and Welfare Authority meeting held June 15th, 2023. 3D, correspondence dated October 31st, 2023, from the Business Administration regarding budget transfers.
Are there any comments on third-order items?
I just had a comment on item 3D. We spoke about it in caucus earlier, and Mr. Voldenberg said he would reach out for the information. I know it's in accordance with the Home Rule Charter, but if we could just get a little more information on the budget transfers that are included in item 3D.
I'll do that, sir.
Thank you.
Do any council members have any announcements at this time?
I have a couple. So, the DPW Local 2305, the union workers, will be having their third annual Thanksgiving food drive. All donations will benefit families in our community through Little Sisters of the Poor. What they need is canned goods, baked goods, boxed goods, pasta, cereal, rice, mac and cheese, instant potatoes, gravy packets, pasta sauce, pie shells, fillings, breads and rolls, peanut butter jelly, juice, and bottled water. The drop-off location for this is at the Naog Park Concession Building. The drop-off dates and times will be 11:04, 11:05, 11:11, 11:12, and these times are from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. All other unexpired and non-perishable items will welcome plastic jars only, please. And then second, the Green Ridge Hometown Hero banners sale is underway. They already had a couple dates. The next date will be Sunday, November 5th from 1 to 4 at the Post Ice Cream and Events place. It used to be the old VFW, and it's on the American Legion, I'm sorry. It's on 625 Deacon Street, Scranton, PA. Cost per banner is $270, check or cash only. Order a banner member for a family member or a friend who is active who is active duty, retired, or deceased. The requirements are full name, rank, military branch, and a printed photo if available. And then next, the Ukrainian Club, the Ukavets, will be having 2 events in November. The first one is Sunday, November 19th, from 2 to 6 p.m. It's their annual turkey raffle. They have 15 turkey drawings, 50-50 raffles. They have a DJ and some light snacks. I've been to that in the past, and that's a lot of fun. And their second one is Saturday, November 25th, entertainment by old friends, Jackie Bordeaux, Jim Cullen, and Sharon Ambrosia at 7 to 10 p.m., also at 237 Railroad Avenue, Scranton, PA. And over on West Side, the West Scranton Invaders will have their Invader Pantry. It will be open during open house next Thursday, November 9th. So the pantry will be open for families to pick up food items. And they'll be located on 1201 Luzerne Street, and it's from 6 to 7:30. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. Does anyone else have an announcement?
Yeah, I had one other one. So Mary Mother of God Parish is having their annual roast beef dinner. It's going to be on November 12th, and it's going to be from 12 o'clock until 4 o'clock. It's $11 for advanced meals. You can call the parish at 570-342-4881, or $14 at the door.
Thank you. Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I have one. November is National Veterans and Military Family Month. November 11th is Veterans Day. So I'd like to donate a flag to the city of Scranton. I brought with me this evening, gave it to Mr. Voldenberg. I'd ask you to take it down to the mayor's office tomorrow and request consideration of them putting that up in the front of the building, naturally on the side where we hang everyone else's flag. I think our veterans should be put up above anybody else that's out there. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Smurl. Dr. Rothschild?
No, I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Okay. I have just 2 things. The city's going to continue their outreach events for residents in need of financial recovery from the September 9th flood this week. They were already held Wednesday, and they were held today. Wednesday was at Novembrino Park. Today it was held at Weston Field. And tomorrow, November 3rd, from 8 until 12 noon, They'll be at the Weston Fieldhouse at 982 Providence Road. Approximately 55 residents have applied since the application opened on Monday. Also, we received an email from the mayor recently with exciting news from the Department of Defense. Breaking defense article includes a breakdown of new funding among U.S. Army depots and ammo plants, including $243 million for Scranton. And it's part of the FY23 acceleration of planned FY24 upgrades to the industrial base, funded in part through supplemental appropriations. This was covered in USA Today on October 30th. City of Scranton has been working with our federal officials and Chris Carney from Nozeman LLP to keep Scranton's military contracting assets top of mind for Army officials, and the Department of Defense considers where and how much to ramp up weapons production. We're thrilled to see that this continued and growing investments in one of Scranton's largest manufacturers. That's all I have at this time. Fourth order.
Fourth order, citizen participation.
Last Thursday, I went to a meeting of the Sewer Authority, and Attorney Schreiber, he was so proud of himself. He said, you know what's on the agenda? We're approving the Sewer Authority's 2022 audit. And he said, and tomorrow we will hand carry it to the BA's office, and that'll put that puppy to bed. Until Frank Voldenberg burst my balloon tonight, telling me that there's a problem with the Sewer Authority's audited financial statements, and they're waiting on Attorney Schreiber to get back to them. And all I can say is, so close, yet so far away. Hopefully, it's a bump in the road and not let's go back to the drawing board. Speaking of so far away, the firefighter's contract is still not on the website. It's 210 days. Now, I'm going to pull the Labor Council's contract for Uffberg for, doing these contracts for the police and firefighters. I want to know if there's a cap on what they're being paid to do that, because every month or so, you see they're down there for a payment, and I'm sure it has to do with this. I mean, what are they doing, typing one paragraph a day? It's not making any sense, I mean, the arbitrator signed the document on April 4th, and I was told 120 days, and it's now 210. It's almost 7 months. I don't understand, you look at the personnel handbook, and most of it says for, union employees, refer to your union contract. Do the firefighters have a contract they can refer to? It's not just the general public. I mean, that's their contract. If it's not on the website and it's not available for release, is that the way we treat our firefighters? And then, the police, theirs was signed on July 28th. Does that mean that we're going to see that sometime next year? You got to go and, kick down some doors. They need to explain why this is taking so long. I mean, money's been allocated for pay raises and everything else, yet they can't show us the document. That is not full disclosure. That is not transparency. That is not accountability. Let's get some answers. Rudolph Clark LLC and their contract for the review of non-taxable properties. Do we have a cap on the cost for that?
I did receive an answer on that. So the answer that came back was, the first phase of the contract is to provide the potential costs and benefits of acting on properties that are currently not taxed but perhaps should be. Without that cost-benefit analysis, the city is not in a position to place an informed cap on the costs at this time.
Okie dokie, if that's what you guys want. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm happy to see that the city is continuing to pursue assistance to the victims of the September 9th flooding. I will be very interesting to see what transpires next Thursday, November 9th, when the 3 taxing authorities meet to discuss potential tax relief for these victims. I'm not going to let that matter drop. Speaking of letting matters drop, whatever happened to the pocket park on Linden and Wyoming? When is that going to be dedicated? I mean, last thing we were told was we have to give the grass a chance to grow. Well, that was like 6 weeks ago. So are we simply waiting for the Easter Bunny so we could have like an Easter roll egg and a dedication on the same day?
I'll ask Frank to reach out to Leslie down at Scranton tomorrow, Collins, to see when that is. We were told it was going to be sometime late October, early November, so.
I went into, I researched, I was trying to find out how much money has been dumped into that park. As of March of 2021, according to Jim Lockwood in the Times, $1,240,000, and that was as of 2.5 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Mike Mancini.
Good evening. Mike Mancini, resident of the city of Scranton. Tonight I come before you on a few things. First and foremost, over the last 3 weeks, I have brought to City Council's attention about misgivings with the Scranton Parking and the Scranton Sewer Authorities, how they were sold. And now we see Attorney Shrive, 50 attorneys later, stating that there's still some easements that have yet to been resolved. If this board, if this body has the ability, I would recommend that you take him off of the Scranton Sewer Authority, keep him as far away from it as possible. The direction that this has gone beyond good taste and reason both. So I want to ask each one of you to personally send a letter to the mayor requesting when and where you could actually see these documents. Each of you have the ability to take a look at them. And on behalf of the citizens who elected you into your chairs, I think it's important to them as well. We're talking about $2.5 million. There was no way that 50 attorneys were involved with this. And again, there was not that many questions. So I would like Mr. Voldenberg to request the mayor have all documents related to both sales readily available. One thing I want you is to take a look at. That's the catalyst. That's the Scranton Parking Authority, all right? I guarantee you, you're not going to see billable hours for the services that they provided, because with the sale of the Scranton Sewer Authority, they had to go back after the sale and request billable hours. That's a given. Scranton Times reported that. Furthermore, I think it's important that we bring this to the surface because of transparency, all right? Second thing is a very young Mike Mancini. The first time that I remember going up to Naog Park was July 4th, 1976, bicentennial, right? 250 years, not long from now, 2026, all right? That park is the crown jewel of the city of Scranton. It has significant historical value, all right? We need to complement the rest of the city with that crown jewel. To change its structure and to put a pickleball court on that site and to cram everything together, that's not the park that I know, all right? I would recommend that you use the existing park size, bring it back to its historical nature, and move forward, okay? Because we've had nothing but gravel in there for 4 years. All right? Jimmy Connor's administration for 12 years found a way to keep 7 pools open, did not raise taxes once. There is no reason for this to be happening. We have altered kids' lives over the last 4 years because they didn't have a place to swim. And it's hard for families to get around now. So take all this into consideration. When you send your letter back to the mayor, take a good hard look at each of you as you were a kid growing up in the city. Each of you have the ability to talk about the park. Well, most of you do. And with that, find it within yourself to take a look and say, hey, we could do better than this. We don't need to put 2 pools into half the size and say, hey, it's okay. It's not okay. Take the pickleball, move it somewhere else. And while you're at it, Lee Morgan had a great idea, and it's very important too. You want to utilize that park throughout the year, right? You have the lights during Christmas. How about ice skating? Why not? If we're going to put something into this, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to move on and then fix our roads. Because right now, it looks like bring your kid to work day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Mark Scarenzi.
A pleasant good evening, Council. So before I want to talk about the main issue, I just want to talk about very briefly about that truck route. There was an accident today, Jefferson and Mulberry, 3:45 p.m. You get these big tractor trailers trying to make a left-hand turn, and it's in a single lane. It's just an accident waiting to happen, Council, and it happened today. I felt sorry for that tractor trailer driver. It was a lady. But luckily, no one was injured. But that was a nice Acura, and it's destroyed. Now, I want to talk to you about this noise issue. Oh, yeah, maybe you could get the city engineer to do something with that intersection so it doesn't happen again. He can do it quickly. Okay, I want to talk to you about this noise issue, Council. Now, I want to tell you something. I am not a troublemaker. I am the nicest man you ever want to meet. I could tell you Santa Claus stories. They make you laugh so hard, you go to the bathroom. But we got to address this noise issue, Council. So what it is that gate is too close to the sidewalk, and we're not going to move that back. So the solution is really to make it a one-way, just like this one, right off of Washington. Have it go both ways in and one exit out on Linden Street. That's the way to do it. I tried that ABM on my own. I went to them. There's a toxic atmosphere over there, especially that guy driving that truck. I don't want to be in the same room with that man. But they said the alarm stays where it is. We're not going to touch the alarm. So this is the solution, just like that, one way, no exit. The real issue is the windows. That's a 49-year-old window in that place. The other day it was really cold. You could feel the cold coming through those window panes. After 49 years, all the seals are cracked. You're in the government. Can't you talk to someone in the state or in the federal government to say, hey, maybe we could get a government grant to get energy-efficient windows? You can do it, but you won't. You know what, Council? I gotta tell you something. We have to rely on the generosity of strangers to get something done around here. So it's my opportunity. Bill Gates, world richest man in the world. let us have new windows in Mulberry Tower. And I'll say a mass prayer for you. That's not going to work, probably. So the real issue is this: make it a one-way. I want to give you some constructive criticism, Council. We all benefit from constructive criticism. It makes us a better person in the long run. And the constructive criticism for you is you take a very long time to get things done. You drag your feet too long. Look at that bus station over there in front of Boscov, the jewel of Scranton. It's been there since May when I moved in here from Las Vegas. Not a single thing has been done. And same thing with that pocket park. Don't you drag your feet on that, and that's in front of the Tabernacle. All right, Council. You forced my hand. Contrary to popular belief, my patience is not ever-ending. Hear ye, hear ye. On this hallowed day we call All Souls Day, 2023, you shall have 40 days from this day forward to implement my humble request. I have mentioned before this council, failure to act shall result in the coldest, snowiest winter this city has not seen in 25 years. You will acquiesce to my request, and you will realize my God is God. That's all I have, Council. Good day.
Thank you, Mr. Scarinci. Lenny Shrebro.
Good evening, Council. Lenny Cerebro, Kaiser Valley residents. I have a map. Mark, I'd like to give it to you because I know you're familiar with the area. Pretty simple map.
Thank you.
I'm going to simplify what I want to say tonight by talking about one thing. The infamous 24-inch pipe at the corner of Briggs and Cameron. The pipe was modified by the current resident there, and they blocked that pipe and put in a 90-degree angle from a 24-inch pipe to an 18-inch pipe. This cannot handle the water in heavy rains. With that, there is 9 storm drains in that one block of Briggs Street. Not around the block, just that one block. There's 9 storm drains and 3 manholes that, because of that pipe that was blocked, the water just shoots up like geysers out of all of those storm drains and then comes down Merrifield. I can't imagine what's stopping, to fix that pipe, to put it back together. We know that it's not gonna cure the problem, but it's a quick, easy fix before the ground gets cold. We all know that the problem starts at the turnpike up on West Mountain, makes its way down, goes through Fondwood Acres, the dry dam, and there isn't adequate drainage in that whole area. But that one 24-inch pipe is going to be a big difference. With really nothing getting done. I mean, we got some Band-Aids. They raised the curbs up, did some flushing of the pipes, but, you know, in the meantime, if we get more heavy rains in the near future, here we go again. It's going to be inundated with flood problems. Even the study on the flooding problem there in Kaiser Valley, they even suggest that they propose that to fix that pipe. In other words, you know, but that's what they stated in the. Now, that pipe, another thing we found out is that pipe is not on the residents' property, it's behind it, which is city property. It's actually field court there. So I don't understand what the red tape is to stop or to hold up to fix that pipe problem. You know, and it's inevitable now that it's happening. Neighbors that by the past not getting anything done, they're starting to take their own, you know, their existing property to, including myself, to try to do my own flood control. And what's happening is now other neighbors are getting upset that, oh, now you're sending the more water my way by everybody's trying to protect their own property because nothing is getting done. So there's like starting to be bad feelings between the neighbors, you know, blaming each other that, oh, that's going to cause more problems. So I hope somebody will come up with something about that pipe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cerebro. Mr. Voldenberg, can you send something to the city? I don't know if it would be the city engineer, whoever is involved with that flood project over there in West Scranton. Just ask specifically, like, are they planning to address this 24-inch pipe, or what's the plan for trying to correct the major issue that's occurring over there? If we could get an update on that and a timeline.
I will, Mr. King. We have asked that question, that in the interim, what can the city do to assist the residents regarding the Briggs pipe?
Right.
They did indicate it's part of the Kaiser Valley study, so we will, I'll follow up and see what they could do.
Thank you very much.
Because we did get a very vague answer the last time it was posed recently, when I posed it. So.
We did, but I'll get more specifics.
If you could. Thank you.
Also, Mr. Cerebro, was anyone from the neighborhood invited to a meeting? I know when we met, the neighbors informed myself, Mr. McAndrew, that there was going to be a meeting on October 20th to discuss the Briggs Street pipe. Was that ever expressed to the neighbors that there would be a meeting?
Not that I'm aware of, and, you know, I try to be up to date on everything going on, and I don't know if anything like that.
Yeah, the answer that we got was that there was not a meeting on that day to discuss that topic, and I was under the impression that there was a meeting that day, but, all right.
Les Spindler?
Good evening, Council. Les Spindler, city resident, homeowner. Last week, Lee Morgan presented Council with an Israeli flag and Ukrainian flag, which Bob Bolitz generously gave to Council. Why aren't they displayed?
I know that we sent them down to the city administration, and it was requested that they be displayed.
We put the Lithuanian flag up, we put the Italian flag up, we put the Irish flag up, we put a pride flag up, other flags, no Israeli flag or Ukrainian flag. That's discrimination, I think, and it's unfair. I'm probably gonna have to write a letter to the editor and put the mayor on notice. I don't know whose responsibility it is. There's no reason for those flags not to be displayed. Now I see that flag will probably go up tomorrow. I guarantee it. And the Israeli flag and the Ukrainian flag aren't displayed. That's a damn shame. Next thing. Haven't brought this subject up in a while, but for years I've talked about dangerous dog legislation. And last summer, I witnessed a dog attack, a pit bull attack a lady and her dog, which I came here. And not long after that, the mayor was here with the police chief, and I spoke to them. And the mayor agreed with me, and no pun intended, but she said the legislation needs more teeth to it. And she said she was going to meet with council. Did council ever meet with the mayor on this subject?
I don't recall ever having a conversation with the administration about this.
We
I know,
did
I
not,
was
sir.
involved in some discussions about it around that time, but nothing else had come from that, to my knowledge, but we can certainly check in on it again.
Well, man, I think something definitely has to be done. That woman was lucky she was unharmed.
Les, were you looking for, when you said more teeth in it, in terms of leashing dogs, or what type of legislation were you looking for?
Oh, and make stricter laws. I've come to this council and told about other cities that have strict laws. In Pittsburgh, if you own a dog that's deemed dangerous, you have to have a 10-foot high fence and you're around your yard and insurance. And I have a lot of stuff here. but
Frank, if you could just send something to the administration and ask them if they could review the existing ordinance and maybe even send a copy to all of the council members so that we can review it and see if there's, maybe we can compare with some other cities that maybe have tightened things up a little bit, make them a little stricter to protect the citizens. Appreciate that. Thank you.
And I know I won't mention names, but a previous solicitor said you can't be breed specific, because I keep bringing up pit bulls, and that's not true. Because I brought it up in St. George's County, Maryland, pit bulls, you can't have pit bulls in St. George's County, Maryland. I don't know if that has anything to do with it's a different state maybe, but they're not breed specific. They are breed specific there. You cannot own a pit bull in St. George's County, Maryland. So I think that should be looked into too. And people always say to me, oh, it's not the dog, it's the owner. I don't believe that. Because the pit bull...
I actually have a half pit and half lab, and the dog stays in our house almost constantly. And when we do bring the dog outside, it's on a metal leash, like we never let it free.
And I brought up other instances where, I think it was in Maryland, where these people had a pit bull. They had a young baby, and the pit bull got in the crib and killed the baby. And this was years ago. This started probably 15 years ago, and my dog was attacked by 2 pit bulls. Thank God the owners found out that they got out of the house, and they came running, and my dog wouldn't have survived. Thank God she did. But yeah, pit bulls, I think it's in their blood. The name pit bull came from, they were bred to fight in pits in England. The real name of the pit bull is American Staffordshire Terrier. The American Kennel Club doesn't recognize the name pit bull. But like I said, when my dog was attacked, I did a lot of research on it. Nobody will convince me it's not in their blood to fight.
So Mr. Spindler, I've spoke to you about it before. I would possibly be in favor of an ordinance that did go after the owner, but the breed specific I did address, I think, a couple times with you. I did own an American Staffordshire Terrier. She was a sweetheart, and I'd like to stick up for her here tonight, but I would be in favor of something maybe that goes towards the owner. But I know the American Kennel Club, the ASPCA, a lot of those organizations, they're also against the breed specific. But I mean, it would be something I would look into or consider, but I think I'd be more prone to go after the owner rather than the dog.
Yeah, definitely have to make stricter laws. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Spindler. Ron Ellman.
Evening, Council. Since there was a mention of parks, I'd like to say that, as I said, I go almost every day with my puppy over to Western Park, and it is just 100% different from it was a couple years ago. They've done a tremendous job there cutting brush, and they've exposed all those steps that have been under for years. I don't know. I guess it's just the same from the cities doing it, but I know there's some volunteers been involved in the summertime. They've done a wonderful job there. And it seems to me the pool was doing very well during the summer. It never was as busy as it could be. Evidently, Kelly is attempting to back up a little bit from his words of admiration for his newfound friend, Sadat, but it's apparent that the editor of this paper just gets great enjoyment printing this atrocious Hitler appreciations this man writes week after letter after letter. They're terrible. Today there's another one in the paper. It's just shameful wordage that he uses to express himself. I don't know. He just seems to be against everything good that we're taught growing up. He's a sick, demented racist, and he shows it with his pen.
Ron, could you refrain from personal attacks? Those are part of the rules.
I was told that this is my opinion. He has, whatever he says as his opinion goes. This is my opinion. He's a racist, anti-Semitic. Well, he's not anti-Semitic. He's an anti-Israeli, that's for sure. He's anti-Jewish. He's just full of hate for I just don't want to get started. This man's a disgrace to humanity, I tell you. At least he's in the open, and he's not like some people that I hear remarks from. But right now, at a time when the president is trying to bring the country together with all the parades of hate going down the streets all over the place, he adds to it. He wants it. He incites this hatred. I don't know. To me, it's a shame some people were ever born. Anyway, we won't have another meeting before the election. I want everybody to remember to vote. You can't believe how many people complain about things in my 2 or 3 seconds here and there at the grocery store, the gas station, but they don't vote. What is it, 70% didn't vote? That's terrible. That's why we have such a poor administration right now. It just reeks from needing help. Yeah, I don't know how to end up, but as an independent, I'm going to vote probably Republican anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellman. Lee Morgan.
Right man on the bottom of something. Good evening, Council. Lee Morgan. I guess the first thing I have here today is that the PennsylvaniaRecord.com did an article on the suit I launched in federal court against ECTV in Scranton and Lackawanna County's government, and I'm glad that somebody covered it. And I see the mayor's really loaded up pretty good with lawyers, so I find it comical, but I think we should all really enjoy ourselves. In regards to the Naog Park Pool project, that should be tabled today. I mean, just immediately, because we keep using grant money to create more poverty in this city and more failed projects. First of all, the pool deck shouldn't be cement. It should be covered with something else so that there's not injuries. That there's just so many parts of this project that make no sense. I haven't heard one of the council members talk about what kind of cement they're going to use to create the pool. I mean, we've just have continually taken grant money over decades and just made the city more distressed. If someone was to go and look into where all this money, the millions and millions of dollars that have gone into this city in federal funds for projects, what happened with those projects, what the actual cost of those projects were, what the benefits to the residents of the city were from those projects, and then look at the city's population decline and the amount of poverty in the city, it's all been wasted. It's like they come in and they just throw the money all over the ground and say, well, it went to who it was supposed to go to, and let's move on. And that's why the city's dying. The city's not rebounding, it's dying. You tried to make the downtown into a neighborhood as you killed the neighborhoods. Okay, we've overtaxed people in this city for so long, it's amazing. You know, Andy Sparagula came here, and he's passed away now, but he knew anything that had to do with finances in this city. And one day he said to me, you know, Lee, we had to put that 2.4 wage tax in so our parents could stay in their homes. Look how long ago that was, and the tax still exists. Why? Doesn't the city know how to write a budget? I mean, we have people who come here and talk about an audit. They're always late. And is the audit real? Is the budget real? You know, I really look forward to the opportunity to go into federal court and put people on the stand and start asking questions. And I hope everybody really, really, really loads up with lawyers. I hope you have all the lawyers the city can afford to hire, because to be honest with you, I'm thinking about going with one more shot for the licensing and inspections department to federal court next. I'm waiting for a hearing in front of the district justice, but the one in Southside gave the city a continuance and then reclused herself, Corbett, from the case. So I'm going somewhere else next. But I really find it amazing that the city itself didn't have enough backbone to restructure licensing and inspections long, long ago, because it's been used as a weapon against the residents of this city. And when you look at vacant lots, everybody should go and look at the condemnation book and see why these houses were condemned and torn down. And then follow the federal funds and who got them. You know, maybe the only way I can get satisfaction is when the mayor's term is up and there's another election. Maybe I have to put my name on the ballot and either run as a Democrat or Republican, because I almost beat Mr. Smith with $500 one time in 2010. And I think I can beat the mayor. And I think that she can hide down in her office and lock everybody out of City Hall, and you can all do all your maneuvering. And let's see if the people finally have had enough and they want to change direction. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. That exhausts the sign-in sheet. Is there anyone else like to be heard?
Thank you.
Tom Coyne, Manuka. First of all, I just wanted to make a quick comment on the walkability study. It's amazing that we're looking to change Center City to all stop signs. I guess since a red light did not stop the woman from being run over in front of the library up there, that a stop sign will somehow stop people from running through an intersection and running someone over. It was an accident. There was a stop light there, and a woman still got run over. I think a stop sign offers less protection, and we're likely to see more people get hit. Now, I just handed you a paper for tonight on 7B. The nonprofit review legislation on page 46, the terms say the fee is $200 an hour for lawyers and 125 hours for paralegals. But as is noted and put forth, there is a willingness, as this is up for negotiation specifically in that agreement. Has anyone actually reached out to negotiate with this company that made the bid, considering they've stated that they are willing to negotiate lower fees for the city? More interesting, a list was presented of 1,622 non-taxable properties, and I would like to see the list, as it was already produced and more importantly appears to cut out the top 100 non-taxables who make 85% of the total appraised properties already existent. It was in that document. This is noted as provided on page 43 of the documents on tonight's agenda. I believe 1,622 is higher than the 177 sent out for pilot requests. Mr. Smurl showed inconsistency in last week's vote. I would like him to explain why the fast tracking of the mayor's emergency order was necessary when 2 weeks ago you voted no to pass the order, because it lacked a response including specific information on the need. And when it was voted on in the following week when Mr. King was here, you reversed that decision, though nothing had substantially changed. And since you voted no, can you explain why an expired retroactive order, emergency order, needed to skip the process other than to satisfy the administration's legal department over ethic, responsibility, and common practices? Again, you stated the mayor runs the city park, Naog Pool, and the slides. That is in contrast to an authority who is set up by charter as it's set up to run as an independent body. Seems that you want to say the body is responsible for everything, but only when the mayor says it is, and especially when its uncomfortable issue comes up and it becomes a hot potato, then it's the mayor's choice. On to Dr. Rothschild. You have yet to explain, other than over a year of having no plans for Geisinger available, consistently supporting the need over the community, and it was a sudden change of your vote to support the people who put you in office 3 weeks before the last election. You consistently voted and opined in favor of the mayor and corporate interests for Geisinger in direct opposition to your community. Why should a community who elected you, that you ignored until it was 3 weeks before your election, when you had a miraculous change of heart, vote to allow your representation to continue? Lastly, on the legal payments commingled with the mayor, there was put forth a request to table and review splitting that legislation. And it was quoted that was a legitimate question. In response, you asked the solicitor for an answer. While your own legal counsel was talking, you stated, "You are not a lawyer ignoring his advice because it was advice that you did not want to hear, and while he was still advising council, you said, "I'm voting yes." It's time for the people of the city of Scranton, if they want change, to make that vote. You have to go out and you're responsible whether or not you want this to continue. Is this the body that you want spending your money and making decisions?
Thank you, Mr.
Get out
Klein.
there and vote on this election day. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before council?
I'm Rick Little. Hello, council. We're coming up to a very, very important election. I believe this local election is probably more important than the presidential election. What has happened around here is this, you know, on a national, international schedule, they've made this Joe Biden's hometown, and you know, we got Biden Street, we got all these things designed to attract all this federal money coming in, and a lot of federal money is coming in, but it isn't helping. It isn't helping because I see where all this federal money comes in to, like, Scranton Housing Authority. It's run by at least 2 people that are from the district attorney's office, and they're evicting people. And it's funny, they're evicting people for breaking the terms of the lease. I don't think anybody's ever read the terms of the lease. The 2 times I was just evicted, they didn't even bring a lease into it. I read the lease. Scranton Housing Authority is supposed to use all the city and county things like inspections, but I went to the inspection office during COVID when they're doing heavy construction all the time. I couldn't breathe. They stole my storage space, confiscated my stuff. It's still confiscated, but no help from the city, no help from the county. And the curious thing I found out, this lease was approved by this body back on May 7th, 1996. And I'd like to talk to the elderly population, which is half the population of downtown now, because I did a right to know to find out how many people were evicted from Scranton Housing Authority. And so I go to the Globe building, deliver it to Tracy Hart, the deputy chief of staff there. And then I go to Matt Cartwright's office to find out, he can't do anything with right to know. He needs a FOIA. So the next day I go over there with a FOIA request, so the same thing. I'm met at the door by the chief of staff guy. He goes, "You talked to my staff member for 45 minutes. That's not even true. Talked to her for 5 minutes. And he leads me out of the Globe building, and he goes to the Lackawanna sheriff. "Don't ever let him in to the 6th floor again." Well, this isn't good local government, because the woman who's the judge, who I believe has evicted thousands of people, many veterans, many people on SSI and basic county income. What the county's doing is trying to sell their county housing, and they're also trying to sell their mental health housing. That's what they got in their mind, is that they're going to keep their jobs and sell you county housing, which is 2 to 3 times as much as the federal housing, over at HUD. And so if you don't do what they say over there, they evict you for violating the terms of the lease, and they don't even look at the lease. In fact, they don't have any witnesses. The lawyer over there is, Lackawanna County prosecutor, and he's also the witness. But the most curious thing I found out with the right to know is that, and I found this out when I was at Matt Cartwright's office, trying to get to the bottom of this thing, is that Judge Alice Farrell came into office in 1997, and the lease was 1996, in May of 1996. All these, and there's no record with the docket numbers of the parties or dates of what goes through that court. That is a kangaroo court that has to be fixed, county level, city level, this level, because you are the people here that put them in charge of Scranton Housing Authority.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak before council?
Marie Schumacher. I'll be brief tonight because most of my things have been discussed already. But I would like to know the condition of the Sorrenti report. Who's responsible for that? How much revenue did we get from it this last month? Anybody know? Does anybody care?
I believe, wasn't the chief was asked that when he was here recently, wasn't he? I'm trying to remember.
We did get some correspondence back about Sorrenti, maybe 3 weeks ago, right? With similar questions that you posed.
We got a status on the various projects, but nothing is so far
Nothing
as
about revenue producing.
I don't believe it's revenue generating.
Frank, can we send something down to the chief to ask about that aspect for Mrs. Schumacher?
I will.
And for us, obviously. Thank you.
You mean our taxpayers were lied to when we were told if we went with that, we would get revenue from other people who use that facility? Wow. Okay. Now, on the non-property tax exempt people, you've already covered that to an extent, but who is in charge of that?
Of the nonprofits, well, I think we're going to be hiring a firm, or there was a firm hired to do the HUP test, to go out and evaluate all the nonprofits to determine whether they actually qualify for nonprofit status. And it would be the mayor's office. They have sent out letters to all the nonprofits in terms of pilots payments in lieu of taxes.
Yeah.
So they've been working on that.
Okay. When can we get interim reports on?
I think we recently had a report, and I think there was an update after that, Frank. Can you ask the administration to combine what initially came in and add in the funding that came in after that? So we have a total amount of funding that came in from all the nonprofits.
I will, Mr. King.
Thank you.
And I assume they were also told they didn't have to give dollars and cents. They could give.
Oh, in-kind services? I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'd like to certainly see how that's doing. It's been out there a long time now.
Yeah, and I know the initial report, Mrs. Schumacher, it was kind of disappointing. It improved somewhat with the second round, but it's still nowhere near where all of us would like it to be.
Okay. What about the status of Meadowbrook 2? Do we know how many rights of way have been obtained?
I do not know the number of how many have been obtained. I do know that they put that service out as well, but since that service has been contracted, I do not know how many have been.
I missed that. We've contracted for getting the rights of way?
Yeah, I'd say in the last,
Do you remember to whom that was?
I could take a look and see and come back in
Okay,
fifth.
yeah, I would really like to know on that one.
That's Attorney Boyd Hughes and his law firm in Dunmore.
Yeah, do you remember how many weeks ago that was?
Approximately a month ago.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the words of that last conversation. What is the,
So Attorney Boyd Hughes was secured to do that, and it was about a month ago. So I'm gonna try to find if I can get you the exact date on when that occurred.
okay, that would be good, because I'd hate to see that pushed off because we don't have the rights of way, as we
I know
know.
prior to that service occurring, I think there was only one, and that was something that we've gone back and forth about for quite some time, that only one property was secured, but since that has just started, that should
Yeah,
be
hopefully,
beginning right now.
yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Schumacher. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to council?
Good evening, Council. Pat LaFrance, city resident. I was here about 2 weeks ago, and I showed everybody a permit denial that I received from the city that had a different address on it. Anybody know anything about that? Hear anything about that?
We acquired anything back yet?
No, we didn't, Mr. McAndrew. I'll ask again.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to talk about my permits that I'm having, the issues I'm having with the city tonight. I believe it was sometime in May, I filed for my first permit of 2023. I believe it was right in the beginning of June. That permit was actually questioned by one of the Marino brothers. Could homeowner do this type of work? Because if I was building 4 walls out of 2x4s inside a house, if you don't know what you're doing, it's pretty technical work. Okay, fine. But Mr. Marino questioned Mr. Oleski. Is the homeowner allowed to do this type of work? That's the exact question. An hour later, the permit was approved for me to do the work. So, did my work, finished that permit out, applied for another one. I was denied. Okay. I was told that I couldn't do the work because I have a 2-unit house and I have to hire a contractor. Okay. And I applied for a third permit, and in between I studied everything and I looked at everything, and that wasn't the case. That's somebody's opinion, that's not the law. So I applied for my third permit and I was denied by, I have a letter right here, you guys saw it. It's got an address on it from Peckville, I don't know why, but it's a permit denial letter. It's got Tom Oleski's name on it. It's from Tom Oleski. It states on the letter the reason for the permit denial is because the home is 2 units. And so on Monday, 10/23, I went and I got my appeal form and I got my check and I went to the notary and I brought it down and I brought it in here. On Tuesday, I got a call from Tom Oleski. I happened to be in my second floor apartment with a general contractor licensed by the city, looking at a problem in my bathroom that, I'll save that for another day. There's 4, it's only 3.5, that one's 4. There's 4 code violations in my bathroom where my bathroom should not have passed inspection, but it did. So anyway, I had that general contractor there, and Tom Oleski called me, and he says, hey, your permit's approved. They approved your permit. Come pick it up. Take your appeal letter and your check for $300 and go do whatever you want to do at your house. No. And everybody I tell that, oh, that's great, he's giving you the permit, that's awesome. Yeah, no. What he's doing is he's taking away my right to appeal his decision. That's what he's doing. He made a decision. To whom it may concern, the permit application for the property listed was applied by you or your company for the above listed address on September 27, 2023. The permit application is denied for the following reasons. Homeowner cannot do this work. It's 2 units. If you have any objections to the determination of this office, you may appeal this matter by requesting a hearing before the Housing Appeals Review Board by filing an appeals application and stating the grounds for the appeal. That tells me right there, I have that right to that appeal. No call me up, hey, keep your mouth shut and take your permit. I ain't that guy. The first guy should have known. I don't keep my mouth shut. So then I had that phone call. And then today, I looking through my email, I got an email from Katie Oleski from last week. Yeah, my permit was ready to pick up. I said, yeah, Oleski denied it. Yeah, oh, Mr. Oleski never denied my permit. Katie Ruther denied my permit due to a clerical error. That's what she told me today. I said, what was the clerical error? I want to know right now. Excuse me. Comes back a couple seconds there. I talked with the law department. The only thing I could tell you is it's a clerical error. Then I talked with the law department, and they had no idea what she was saying. Somebody needs to look into the zoning office. These guys, the babysitter is out of the room. There's nobody babysitting that department, and they're running wild. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. France. Is there anyone else like to speak to council?
Good evening, Council. Darwin Shaw, Scranton City resident. Candidate for the 2-year term of unexpired. I would like to talk about stormwater just for today. The stormwater issues and challenges that are facing the region. From what I have gathered, we have 5. Even though there is a cohesive plan put together, we have 5 challenges. 1 will be pollution in the streams. 2, tightening of DEP regulations and with our M4 permit. The M4 permit stands for Municipal Separate Sewer Systems, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know off the top of my head, but I do know that due to the M4 permit, which would have been implemented last year, is a new permit that needs to be followed with us and 21 other municipalities surrounding Scranton, Taylor, Dunmore, Oliphant, etc. Out of those 21, I'll say 7 have agreed to, and stop me if I'm wrong, please, anybody, because I am young, agreed to put forth green infrastructure plans. Our best minimum practices we need to be in alignment with our M4 permits. Now, I would like to know, to stop the flooding, especially around the Scranton area and the Kaiser Valley area, because that can't happen again, and I would say that we're all in agreement that can't happen again. Despite the electrical systems being raised, is there a way that the city could work with the property owner that's houses basically on that 24-inch pipe that does need to get mended and fixed? And if so, if we have to tear up their yard, can they get reimbursed for the pay? As far as the park, Mr. Smurl, and I like you. I'm not even going to be Mr. Howie. I like you. He's my family, but you're a gentleman, so I'm going to treat you with same respect. You were on the Recreational Authority when Mayor Paige Cognetti was our mayor. You don't have to answer. That's not a trick question, sir. When it came to demolishing our pool, did you approve that? Or no? And if so, where did the mayor receive the funds to demolish the pool? Because as the audit goes, if we don't get our audit on time, there's no way that anybody could balance out a proper budget, let alone let it be surplus. So you're spitballing. How did that pool get demolished?
The city of Scranton paid for the demolition.
She did?
The city of Scranton did.
The city did?
Yes.
When you were your third day at council, you said that you did, honestly.
I didn't pay for it.
No, you didn't pay for it. The Recreational
closed it.
Authority they donated funds to the city to demolish the pool. That was just one problem. Now, number two, I would like to know what litigation has been implemented to prevent stormwater management. Also, have you opened the contracts from DPW to make sure that DPW, our firefighters, police, receive the best bang for their buck, especially for providing quality A service to the city and these citizens with the lack of equipment?
Well, as far as I know, we have the lack of employees. We have a lot of equipment down there that sits every day because we don't have employees to run it.
Okay, that's wonderful, that's wonderful. I do understand the manpower, but if they don't have the proper equipment to implement the jobs, at least let them, I'm sorry, I wanted to get everything out. This is hard in 5 minutes, Mr. King, jeez. At least can we do, all right, we'll just scratch that, Mr. Smurl, we'll scratch that. Could we please implement something in DPW to protect the fire and pensions, the firefighters' pension, police pension, DPW's pension, allow them to keep their union contracts, let's see, work with our nonprofit organizations and see if they can not only beautify the communities, but also work with Parks and Recreations to do more outreach programs, or even things like happened on Halloween in Northside. There was a beautiful haunted house, which me and my family attended. It was wonderful. Then could we fix the street signs with decal, if that would be cheaper, and look into another contract to get DPW more trucks, get the firefighters a truck. Does Bedrock still control the IT around here? No? Wonderful, because they were doing bad. And how much money have we received from in extra revenue since the mayor has been appointed? Does anybody know? Mr. Smurl, do you know? I'm sorry. I have to pick on you, but
I'm sorry, your time is up, Mr. Shaw.
all right.
Thank you. I will say, with respect to contracts, DPW contract was recently settled within the last year or so, and through binding arbitration, both the police and fire contracts were settled recently as well.
They're not posted. The firefighters not posted. It's a simple Sublime Text. I'm a graphic designer. Just put them in Sublime Text, HTML files. It'll take
Well,
15
contract negotiations, there's negotiations between the unions and the city administration, and eventually the two of them, the police and fire, both went to binding arbitration.
Yeah.
That's how they were settled. The contract between DPW went with the leadership of the DPW union, and it was settled. What's that?
Firefighters. Why isn't it posted?
Why isn't it posted?
Yeah, like that's all.
Well, it's been brought up multiple times. They're still working on the language to finalize. I'm familiar with that when I was superintendent of the Scranton School District. The Scranton Federation of Teachers and the city, a lot of times those contracts are settled at the last minute, and it's back and forth, and the contracts are marked up. And apparently the police contract, or the fire contract, they've gone all the way back to '96, and they've taken all original language. So it's taken some time to get that together, but ultimately it will be posted. Thank you. Is there anyone else like to be heard? Mr. Little, you've already been heard tonight?
Well,
No,
is it okay if I identify as another name?
No.
And speak about another subject?
No, you had your 5 minutes. We can't allow people to come up and speak twice. Thank you.
But I was Rick Little then. I want to do it as Frederick Little, which is my legal name.
Okay, well, you stood at that podium before, correct? For over 5 minutes.
Under another name, but I
Well-
can't identify as another
No, you cannot. I'm sorry.
speaker? Okay.
No, thank you.
Fifth order, 5A motions.
Okay. Mr. Smurl, do you have any motions or comments?
Yes. I went to the Novembrino Pool Complex on Wednesday afternoon to see how they are doing with the funding for the damage in the houses for the $5,000. I spoke with Chris Hughes, ARPA Communications Manager from the city. He did say there was almost 60 people that had come already. He said the most important thing when you go there, if you can, bring receipts or estimates from contractors. If you bring that stuff, it kind of makes the process go a lot faster. And also, there is another one tomorrow down at the Weston Fieldhouse from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And you could also apply online if you want to apply online at the Scranton Area Foundation. You go to their website and you can apply online by yourself if you don't want to go to the Novembrino complex. Also, I had a request for information on Green Lake Go traffic light replacement, the ones on Cedar Avenue and also the ones on Wyoming Avenue and Greenridge Street. So I called Eileen Cipriano, and the response I received was that the plans have been signed by the city, by PennDOT, and by the city engineer. So it is on schedule to be complete before the deadline, so we won't lose the grant money. That was the information I got from Eileen Cipriani and the grant writer, Sherry Frable. So thank you for that information, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Smurl. Mr. Schuster, do you have any motions or comments?
Yes, I have a few. First, to answer Ms. Schumacher's question, on September 26th of 2023, resolution number 304 of 2023, we secured legal services for the Meadowbrook easement acquisition. So this will be for phase 3. 3 law firms did apply for the RFP, and the city chose one of those law firms. But it was on September 26th. You're welcome. Let's see. In regards to the rental ordinance, Mr. Voltenberg, can we reach out to the administration, probably Eileen Cipriani? I got a call today about the rental ordinance fees. Could we reach out to see what's occurring with our current rental ordinance fee collection? Are they cashing checks, and are the properties being are they processing the payments for the rental ordinances and keeping track of those at this point in time?
I'll look into it, sir.
Thank you. Last week I asked for a breakdown of costs, labor costs for the CBAs to be put on the website, specifically the firefighters contract. I did get an answer, and the answer was that the administration has asked Ufberg and Associates for an itemized bill, and said Attorney Ufberg had clarified these questions for Mr. Schuster, but I did not get any of the questions clarified as of yet, but the answer stated that I had. So I'll take a look at that to see if I received anything. Sorry, I'm trying to go. We got the email at 4:20 today, so I'm trying to get through them. I asked about what's occurring next year for our city Little League fields, because I heard that there's going to be a change there, and the answer I got was, please be advised that the city of Scranton is updating its use and access of Little League fields so that interested leagues and groups who wish to use city parks and fields can apply for licenses. The city sincerely appreciates its leagues and groups who have used the parks and fields over the years and will give priority to those groups and leagues who have tenure and usage and courtesy. The city intends to roll out a licensing system online by spring of 2024. So please see attached to, well, there's a sample correspondence here. So the licensing agreements will be securing funding due to the leagues and organizations needing to have site control to qualify for the grant monies. An organization risks owing all grant monies back after audit or not even qualifying in the first place without the site control provisions. So they're looking to get into licensing agreements as opposed to leasing the fields as they've done in the past. I asked about how many FEMA projects have been completed from the 2018 storm that we had at that point in time. And it says the administration is in receipt of this inquiry, but please be advised that the request requires a detailed response. And the staff responsible for that response is working in real time to attempt to achieve disaster declarations in response to the September 9th flood, and they'll respond after their painstaking efforts to secure over $6 million in disaster relief for the city. I went to the North Scranton Neighborhood Association meeting last night, and a resident over there had asked, they were trying to get power reinstated to their home after their home had been condemned. So it's another question I'm going to ask for you, Mr. Vollenberg. Can we reach out to the administration and see if they're working with our residents to ease the condemnation process for permitting homes to come out of condemnation? And do we know at this point in time how many homes are still uninhabitable? I was aware of just a few, but I don't think I was aware of how many were still uninhabitable. So do we know that number? And have we been working with these residents to get them back into their homes?
I'll look into it, sir.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster. Dr. Rothschild?
Yes. First, we received a response today on a property I asked about, I believe, last week or the week prior, for 621 rear Alder Street, and we received the response that is going to the magistrate, but we have yet to receive a date for when that hearing will take place. So that's where that property is at currently. And then we have received an email from a resident about property on Harrison Avenue and Vine Street, and that property, they were wondering if it was getting fixed up, if there are permits for it, and there's garbage often blowing around from the property. There is a lot of junk on the porch, and I think the siding is off the side of the house as well. So they'd like an update on that, and I don't believe they included a specific address, but I'm sure we could get which property it is.
We'll get a status on that.
Okay, thank you. And just want to take a moment to respond to two questions I had received during citizens' participation, and I'm always happy to answer those questions or to defend my votes. The first one was with regards to the zoning ordinance legislation back in the springtime, and that was something that I worked with the neighbors on for well over a year. I remember, I think I was probably the first one that Doris Koloski came to ask if I had heard that Geisinger was buying up properties in the hill section. And that was the first that I was hearing of it. And I said I would look into it to see if there was anything like on the city's part with that. And there wasn't at the time. And then found out that the zoning was going to be coming, and it all started to come together. And I met with neighbors. I had various phone calls with neighbors for that entire year. And I felt that the process went on for much longer than I think it needed to be, and I wasn't sure what the holdup was either. I'm still not sure, but I was, I feel like working on behalf of the neighbors from early on, and certainly communicating with Geisinger because I wanted to get answers for the neighbors, and I also wanted to get them to better communicate and coordinate with the neighbors, which wasn't happening. So I think former Councilman Kyle Donahue can attest to that, and I felt like we did need better emergency services within the city. I still feel that way, and better medical care here. And so, the need for that did make it more difficult for my decision. And they had already bought up the properties. I didn't want to see those just sit empty now that they had bought up the properties and demolished them. And that's currently the state that they're in. I would still like to see something happen, but I was really disappointed with the continued lack of communication and agreement with the neighbors and the disregard for them, and that was why I ultimately voted for an amendment in one of the sections, one of the zones. So just to recap how that all occurred, and it was never a political decision for me, and I felt that I carefully weighed everything from both sides, and I know that the neighbors know that as well, and I'm here to fight for the neighbors and the people of the city, and not for corporations, but I do also want stronger medical care. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And secondly, I think there was a question on the settlement legislation, and that's going to be coming up tonight, and I planned on speaking on the question to that, but I can also discuss that now. So I believe when I had asked the solicitor about that, he had said that it was damaging, or I don't recall his exact words about it, but even though I wasn't involved in negotiations, as I stated, I still understood how detrimental it could be to the city for us to deny the settlement. And I'm still confident in that because for a number of reasons. First off, with the services that were rendered, we were not giving them additional money than what services they had already provided. We were just, giving them the contractually obligated money for that. And there was a court-ordered settlement as well. So if we denied that as a council, we could get fined, and we would certainly get sued. We were already told that we would get sued, and we would risk millions more of cost to the taxpayers to be in a legal battle with them for money for services that were already owed. So I don't think that's something that would be a healthy decision for the city, for our financial stability as a city, and for the taxpayers to continue to spend money on legal suits when, I think that we can settle it here with the settlement. So that's where I stood last week. That's still where I stand. I do appreciate that we've had the chance to discuss further and touch base with the administration and with the legal department on that.
Thank you, Dr. Rothschild. Mr. McAndrew.
Yes, so over the weekend, it was brought to my attention that last Saturday, multiple workers from DPW were put out on overtime to map alleys and manually put them in the system for Rubicon. And probably will have to do it next Saturday. Rubicon claiming that their GPS is not working, or something to that effect. I am one of two councilmen that sit up here that voted no for this contract. We were told 2 years ago that Rubicon would provide $1 million in savings for the first year. It has been rolled out only twice in 2 years. Both times probably the hottest week of the summer. And it failed. Garbage sat everywhere. So, and we were told the next rollout is January. So this six-figure contract has not saved the taxpayers a dime, and is now costing us overtime again, like it did in the summer. I do not blame the DPW workers that are following orders from this, but this is another example why Rubicon should be gone. Mr. Voldenberg, could you please verify the information that I received over the weekend?
I will, Mr. McAndrew.
Through administration. Thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. I have a response here for Joan Hodawan. It's the Scranton Sewer Authority 2022 audit. Financial statements was approved by the Scranton Sewer Authority Board at a special meeting Thursday, October 26th. Was received by the City of Scranton on Friday, October 27th. The city's BA office presently waiting on an opinion from Scranton Sewer Authority solicitor regarding a small change necessary, a small error between the income statement and the statement of cash flows. The city expects to finalize with Scranton Sewer Authority by Friday, November 3rd, God willing. Norma Jeffries, council is to receive the updated schedule for the street sweeper and leaf pickup. Do we get that updated schedule yet?
Not in the last report, sir. I'll follow up.
Yeah, see if we can get that. And that's all I have at this time.
B, for introduction, an ordinance ratifying the extended local declaration of emergency issued by the Office of the Mayor and authorizing the Office of the Mayor to exercise and enforce the emergency powers necessary to preserve the health, welfare, and safety of the citizenry of the City of Scranton as a result of the localized flooding that occurred on September 9th, 2023 through October 27th, 2023.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5B be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question.
Sorry, on the question, the last few weeks I've asked the same thing. Last week I asked for an itemized list of what we've done to date in terms of actions and costs of those actions. Under the emergency ordinance, I've yet to receive that actual itemized list.
Okay. All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, so moved.
I make a motion to suspend the rules to move items 5B to 6th and 7th order for a final vote.
Second?
On the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, so moved.
5C, for introduction, an ordinance amending file to council number 33, 2022, an ordinance as amended entitled General City Operating Budget 2023 to increase the debt proceeds account number as noted by $2,500,000 to an increase the court awards account number as noted to $2,500,000 to allow for the payment of a court-ordered obligation following the settlement of a recent class action lawsuit.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5C be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question. All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
I make a motion to suspend the rules to move item 5C to 6th and 7th order for a final vote.
Second.
On the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5D, for introduction, an ordinance amending file to council number 33, 2022, an ordinance as amended entitled General City Operating Budget 2023 to increase the debt proceeds account number as noted by $1,290,000 and to increase the court awards account number as noted by $1,290,000 to allow for the payment of a contract-based obligation in a global settlement.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5D be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question. All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
I make a motion to suspend the rules to move item 5D to 6th and 7th order for a final vote.
Second.
On the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay. The ayes have it, and so moved.
5E, for introduction, a resolution, amending resolution number 113 of 2022, appointment of Andrew T. Lazella, Ph.D., as a member of the Board of Ethics to correct an administrative error in the term length from August 31st, 2027 to August 31st, 2025.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5E be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question. All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5F for introduction, a resolution amending Resolution Number 312 of 2023 entitled Amending Resolution Number 69, 2022, a resolution as amended entitled Authorizing the mayor and other appropriate officials of the City of Scranton to take all necessary actions to implement the American Rescue Plan Act grant funds in the amount of $68,746,050 to reallocate funds from various budgeted ARPA accounts to allow for focus and funding of disaster relief efforts and stormwater mitigation, development and remediation of pool complexes within the city, and to effectuate ongoing stewardship of taxpayer dollars as amended to specifically rebudget the Providence Square streetscape funds for connectivity purposes and storm relief.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion item 5F be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, and so moved.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to move item 5F to seventh order for final vote.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, and so moved.
5G, for introduction, a resolution, appointment of Robert Soffinelli as a member of the Civil Service Commission, filling the unexpired term of Karen DeSantis, who resigned.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5G be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
Sixth order, 6A, reading by title, filed to Council Number 94, 2023, an ordinance ratifying the execution of another set of time-sensitive temporary construction easement agreements between affected City of Scranton property owners and the City of Scranton to complete the Federal Emergency Management Agency projects in accordance with FEMA debris removal construction plans, which are to be completed by the deadline of December 31st, 2023.
You've heard reading by title of item 6A. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6A pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, I said earlier in fifth order, I asked for a list of the projects from 2018 that have been completed and those still pending, and I'm just waiting on that list.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
6B, formerly 5B, reading by title, filed to Council Number 95, 2023, an ordinance ratifying the extended local declaration of emergency issued by the Office of the Mayor and authorizing the Office of the Mayor to exercise and enforce the emergency powers necessary to preserve the health, welfare, and safety of the citizenry of the City of Scranton as a result of the localized flooding that occurred on September 9, 2023 through October 27, 2023.
You've heard reading by title of item 6B. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6B pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, so moved.
6C, formerly 5C, reading by title, filed to Council Number 96, 2023, an ordinance amending file to Council Number 33, 2022, an ordinance as amended entitled General City Operating Budget 2023 to increase the debt proceeds account number as noted by $2,500,000 and to increase the court awards account number as noted by $2,500,000 to allow for the payment of a court-ordered obligation following the settlement of a recent class action lawsuit.
You've heard reading by title of item 6C. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6C pass by reading by title.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
6D, formerly 5D, reading by title, filed to Council Number 97, 2023, an ordinance amending file to Council Number 33, 2022, an ordinance as amended entitled General City Operating Budget 2023 to increase the debt proceeds account number as noted by $1,290,000 and to increase the court awards account number as noted by $1,290,000 to allow for the payment of a contract-based obligation in a global settlement.
You've heard reading by title of item 6D. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that item 6D pass reading by title.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, and so moved.
Seventh order, 7A, for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for adoption, Resolution Number 322, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a contract with Smart Recycling, Inc. to perform services for demolition of hazardous structure 2755.
What is the recommendation of Chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7A.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7A legally and lawfully adopted.
7B, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for adoption, Resolution Number 323, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a contract with Rudolph Clark LLC to perform services of review of non-taxable properties for the city of Scranton.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7B.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, included with this contract, the company does state that they would be, on rare occasions, they work with the prospective client to agree upon a rate that suits the client's budget. So we do have an opportunity here to reach back out to this company to see if we can get the rates of, I would imagine $200 per hour for attorneys and $125 for paralegals. I think I'd like to make a motion to table this tonight to see if the administration can reach out to the company to see if they would be in favor of a better deal for the city.
I'm wondering, since it's written into their proposal, if that opportunity still exists even if we pass it.
I'll second to table.
Okay, so there's been a motion to table and seconded. On the question?
For clarity's sake.
Okay. Anyone on the question? Roll call to table.
Mr. Smurl?
No.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes. 7B has been tabled until we can get further clarification.
7C, formerly 6B, for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, filed to Council Number 95, 2023, ratifying the extended local declaration of emergency issued by the Office of the Mayor and authorizing the Office of the Mayor to exercise and enforce the emergency powers necessary to preserve the health, welfare, and safety of the citizenry of the City of Scranton as a result of the localized flooding that occurred on September 9th, 2023 through October 27th, 2023.
What is the recommendation, Chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7C.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7C legally and lawfully adopted.
7D, formerly 6C, for consideration by the Committee on Finance for adoption, filed to Council Number 96, 2023, amending filed to Council Number 33, 2022, an ordinance as amended entitled General City Operating Budget 2023 to increase the debt proceeds account number as noted by $2,500,000 and to increase the court awards account number as noted by $2,500,000 to allow for the payment of the court-ordered obligation following the settlement of a recent class action lawsuit.
What is the recommendation of the Chairperson for the Committee on Finance?
As chairperson for the Committee on Finance, I recommend final passage of item 7D.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7D legally and lawfully adopted.
7E, formerly 6D, for consideration by the Committee on Finance for adoption, file to Council Number 97, 2023, amending file to Council Number 33, 2022, an ordinance as amended entitled General City Operating Budget 2023 to increase the debt proceeds account number as noted by $1,290,000 and to increase the court awards account number as noted by $1,290,000 to allow for the payment of a contract-based obligation in a global settlement.
What's the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Finance?
As chairperson for the Committee on Finance, I recommend final vote of item 7E.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Wait, whoa. On the question, so, the reason I had this broken out is because this is bad, all right? And, you know, and how it was presented to us by the legal department is, well, you know, they're going to threaten breach of contract, okay? But this same organization was identified by the FBI as co-conspirator, pay to play. All right? So in essence, they breached their contract. Lawyers have two options, folks. They can fight or they can settle. I was in favor of fighting, not settling. 4 years ago, I ran against corruption and ran for transparency. My vision or commitment hasn't changed. If I voted yes for this, I'd be hypocritical. So with that said, you know, these people are identified. And we did have a discussion about it. And you know what? This could be fought and potentially won. And when they were identified, they still continued to do business with us for a period of time that was disgusting. So I'm happy with my vote. I'm a definite no to pay off or reward people with criminal behavior.
On the question, I certainly don't feel good about having to settle this lawsuit. However, I believe that if this was court-ordered, and I believe that we are paying for work that was performed here, and I believe by not passing this evening that we're opening up the city to further litigation, which could more than double or triple the amount that we're settling for this evening. That's why I'll be supporting this evening.
And this was the item that we asked the administration to separate, and I was part of that. And they did separate it, and the law department did come down and spoke to us about it. We asked questions about why and how and why we are settling this one. They told us the contract was an auto renewal contract, so that company continued to work for the city of Scranton, and they continued to provide us with information that we used and it benefit the city of Scranton. So the final agreement amount is substantially smaller than what they had originally requested. So I don't believe any judge would tell us not to pay them for what they had performed under a contract. So I will be supporting this to pay this off.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7E legally and lawfully adopted.
7F, formerly 5F, for consideration by the Committee on Finance for adoption, Resolution Number 325, 2023, amending Resolution 312 of 2023 entitled Amending Resolution Number 69, 2022, a resolution as amended entitled Authorizing the Mayor and other appropriate officials of the City of Scranton to take all necessary actions to implement the American Rescue Plan Act grant funds in the amount of $68,746,050 to reallocate funds from various budgeted ARPA accounts to allow for focus and funding of disaster relief efforts and stormwater mitigation, development and remediation of pool complexes within the city, and to effectuate ongoing stewardship of taxpayer dollars as amended, to specifically rebudget the Providence Square streetscape funds for connectivity purposes and storm relief.
What is the recommendation, Chairperson of the Committee on Finance?
As chairperson for the Committee on Finance, I recommend final vote of item 7F.
Second.
On the question.
On the question, so this was actually something I asked for when Ms. Cipriani was in. I wanted to see some of our ARPA dollars reallocated from areas where that we may not see benefit with the new information that we had and get those monies into other places. I agreed with, I'd say 98, 99% of this, other than the Providence Square streetscape project. This here is just to reallocate that Providence Square money back to downtown area. So I'm going to be voting no to this tonight. I would like to see that money still in the North Scranton, Providence area. And I felt like we should have looked into some other monies for the downtown area, but kept this money in the North Scranton area. So with that, I will be voting no.
On the question, I would love to see the money stay in North Scranton as well. However, in listening to what the administration had to say, it's going to be almost impossible to meet all of the needs required by PennDOT with all the license and inspections that would have to happen with every single road, every single driveway to be able to meet the deadline. But I did speak to the administration about applying for other funding that will address the needs over in North Scranton. Therefore, I'll be supporting this this evening.
I agree that we should continue fighting for funding for North Scranton, for Providence Square. However, I don't think that this is the time to do that because it doesn't seem reasonable that these funds are going to be able to be used towards that project. And if not, then they won't get used, which I'm concerned about. So I'd rather put it towards a project, even if it's downtown, and still look for funds for North Scranton.
Okay, so I initially had a problem with this, diverting money from Providence Square to downtown. But during caucus, we received information, always late, always, by the time this thing is read or introduced or reintroduced. So the information we were told, and I'm going to hold the administration to it, is, you know what? They didn't forget about North Scranton. They're working on some funding to complete what they've set out initially to complete. So I'll vote yes for this, but I'll definitely keep my eye on the promise that's being made.
Also, on the question, there was discussion with the administration, and we just did discuss this in caucus. There's a CRIS board that we're going to try to set up, and we worked with Senator Marty Flynn to try to develop a board to attract some funding that will address the needs of our North Scranton residents. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes, with reservation.
Mr. King?
Yes. I hereby declare item 7F legally and lawfully adopted.
7G, previously tabled, for consideration by the Committee on Public Safety for adoption, filed to Council Number 91, 2023, establishing permit parking in the 800 block of Olive Street.
What is the recommendation, Chairperson of the Committee on Public Safety?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Safety, I recommend final passage of item 7G.
Second.
On the question.
On the question, I do understand that we've had a hearing on this and no one from the public has showed up to it. I received a phone call stating that church services on this block of Olive Street will be affected when it comes to parking, and that the church doesn't have enough parking for those services. I think possibly because the church operates on only certain days, they were unaware of this as they weren't actual residents. I don't know where council is with a possibility to table this action, just to see if we could reach out to the church, to see if they were aware of that it might be taking place. I don't know if there's any appetite to table.
There's been a motion to table.
I'll second that. I mean, yeah, maybe the church wasn't aware, and they're a permanent fixture there, and maybe should have some type of input in this decision. Okay, they missed a public hearing, but maybe they didn't hear about it, or their members, I should say, of the congregation.
So there's been a motion, and it's been seconded to table item 7G. On the question?
On the question, I also believe maybe they did miss it. There's a lot of things I miss in life, and if it is going to affect a lot of people going to church, that's not the right thing to do.
Okay, so there's been a motion, and it's been seconded to table item 7G. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, item 7G is tabled until we get further information from the church.
7H, previously tabled, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 313, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a contract with Performance High Fidelity to perform audio-visual services for the meeting space enhancement for City Hall.
As chairperson of the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7H.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7H legally and lawfully adopted.
8th Order 8A, filed to Council Number 64, 2023.
This ordinance is creating overtime reporting requirements for all city departments and employees. It's been tabled until we receive additional information from the administration.
8B, filed to Council Number 91, 2023.
This ordinance was moved to 7th order this evening for final vote.
8C, Resolution Number 313, 2023.
This resolution was moved to 7th order this evening for final vote.
8D, Resolution Number 320, 2023.
This resolution is an easement between PPL Electric Utilities and the city for properties located along Amelia Avenue. It has been tabled until more information is received regarding the placement, the planned infrastructure. If there's no
Mr.
further...
King?
Yep.
If I may, I'm sorry, I forgot an announcement for this Saturday at 1 p.m. at Naog Park, the dedication for Jim Kuchwara, the new flagpole and bench and stuff that was installed up there. They're going to do that after 7 weeks of rain. Saturday looks good, so they're going to do it this Saturday at 1 p.m.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.